All right, today we're sliding right into another draft here on Underdog Fantasy, taking on the draft board yet again. The draft has already actually kicked off here. It looks like today we'll be selecting from the 11th overall pick on the board in today's video. Standard start here, Jonathan Taylor goes first. Christian McCaffrey is the second pick off the board. We actually were one of the last people to join up in today's draft, so I'm kind of scrambling around here, trying to get myself set up on my phone to draft so I can put up the big board on the screen for you all. But of course, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. I post fantasy football content every single day on multiple platforms, so make sure to check out some of the links in the description of today's video, and make sure to click that subscribe button and turn the bell on so you're never late for some content or a new video here on YouTube. So just a few picks away now. Looks like Dalvin Cook goes off the board. A little bit early for him there, if you ask me. Personally, I would rather have Derrick Henry, who it looks like we potentially... Nope, he goes there. We've got ourselves an interesting start here. I think I'm going to take Joe Mixon here, should he fall to me at this draft spot. We'll see what ends up being the case, though. Yes, we will get our hands on Joe Mixon to start today's video. I actually have Mixon ranked currently as my running back 6 overall for 2022. I'll pop that big board up for you guys now. I am ready to put that down there. I'm hoping DeAndre Swift falls to me, which he does. So we're going to get to take advantage of both Joe Mixon and DeAndre Swift on this team. A running back start that I really love to have there. I have both of these players ranked in my top 6 at the running back position. I am very, very aggressive in drafting these two this season. So essentially for me, what it comes down to with Joe Mixon is I love the opportunity to continue playing in this Bengals offense. You've got a guy in Joe Mixon who was 3rd last season in rushing yards and carries, and a guy who was top 5 in red zone touches last year. Red zone touches obviously so valuable because of the increased opportunity. It allows you to score those touchdowns, rack up and accumulate those quick hitting fantasy points, which obviously the more of that you can have, the better. The more goal line utility and opportunity you have in an offense, that promotes fantasy football success. And clearly, playing in an offense as elite as the Cincinnati Bengals, you're going to have a lot of swings at the bat with that organization. You've got a team that was just 16th in team passing plays per game last year, showing their commitment to balancing out that offense and having a dynamic run game, despite the fact that they've got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins and all of those dominant playmakers on the offensive side of the ball as it pertains to the passing game. So overall, I see a huge recipe for success here for Joe Mixon. I have him again ranked as my running back 6. We drafted him as the 6th running back off the table in today's draft. DeAndre Swift, who I'm actually insanely high on this season, I have him as my running back 5. We got down at the running back 8 at his ADP for this year at the 2-2 overall pick. So feeling very good about that start. For me, DeAndre Swift, it's about that touchdown progression potential. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to possibly even double or even more extremely improve that touchdown number from 2021. There's an opportunity for a guy who is one of the best passing options out of the backfield in the National Football League to continue excelling in that area of fantasy. Obviously, when you have those dynamic receiving threats, that adds a whole level of opportunity to offenses. So just as a simple flanking option, a guy who can just get out in space, to the sideline and use his agility out in space. Phenomenal pass catcher, phenomenal out in space, again, super elusive. And that Detroit Lions, Jesus, I sounded like I was from England there for a second. That Detroit Lions offense has a very, very underrated offensive line. So a lot of things that compile to what I evaluate as a really good opportunity for a huge ceiling, a ton of upside, and a lot of ability to be a very, very strong fantasy football playmaker. Now, we'll see if, we've got some interesting names hanging out here on the board. Not too many receivers that I'm absolutely in love with. Oddly enough, it's kind of looking like the value is at the running back position here. If Travis Etienne just happens to trickle down to me, I would love to draft him. DJ Moore would be my highest ranked wide receiver still on the table. It looks like A.J. Brown will go before him, which is good for my sake here. Ultimately, James Conner's hanging out there as well. Hollywood Brown goes off the board, so it looks like I will get one of my guys. And you know what? With that, I might just go in that direction here. I don't really see... It's too early to go Jerry Jeudy here. I'm not a big Cortland Sutton or Jalen Waddle guy. I could draft a share of Terry McLaurin. Not my favorite thing to do either. I kind of want to spice things up a little bit here today. Let's go with Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars over a guy like James Conner, who, yes, I do like James Conner. I have him ranked higher than I have Travis Etienne for this season, but I like to kind of diversify my investments here, and I really like that 3 running back start there. We'll see how this wide receiver position plays out here. There goes James Conner at the 312. His ADP is the 3.9 overall. Etienne is the 3.11. Travis Etienne, there's been a lot of talk about his passing involvement at Jags camp so far this offseason. Rightfully so. I think he's going to line up all over the field. I think he's got better upside, possibly than what James Conner has this year, although James Conner's floor is probably a bit better. There goes Cortland Sutton. I am very low on Jalen Waddle, and I actually... Where do I want to go with this? So we're down to Allen Robinson and Terry McLaurin. I think at the end of the day, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with A-Rob. I do like the upside of Terry McLaurin, but I don't love the shaky floor. For me, I think Allen Robinson, he's the guy who I want more shares of this fantasy season. I think he totally tears it up this year in the middle of the field. Van Jefferson just had surgery. It's possible that he misses some games. I think early in the year, it's going to be kind of the Allen Robinson and the Cooper Kupp show. I think they're going to see a ton of volume, a ton of opportunity to work in that offense and just be able to really get out there and have a high volume of opportunities to score fantasy points. A-Rob's one of the best wide receivers in the game. Don't let last season distract you or convince you otherwise. I think that watching and evaluating tape of Chicago's offense last season really let me understand how open A-Rob was still getting. It's just that Justin Fields wasn't working properly through his progressions. The offensive line protection was awful. Even if A-Rob was streaking wide open down the middle of the field, Fields was getting hammered and getting killed by linemen who were just flying through and crushing him because the protection was so awful. And, unfortunately now we're seeing all of these rumors, or not necessarily rumors per se, I guess they are rumors. The reports that Tevin Jenkins is being shopped, the 2nd-round pick from the 2021 draft for those Chicago Bears. So that would really suck to see him go if he ends up being a busted pick. That could just end up quite miserably. Tevin Jenkins was a highly touted run blocker, someone who's a very physical player, and the Bears really need some offensive line help because, again, it's a major weakness of their offense. It's holding their passing game back quite a bit. So hopefully for the Bears' sake, things work out there. But Allen getting into a situation with the best quarterback of his NFL career, I think, is a great opportunity here. I will say I definitely need to address some more upside at this wide receiver position progressing down the board here. I do like the start we had at running back. I wasn't anticipating that so many of the wide receiver options would be gone. Had DJ Moore been available at that 311 pick, I probably would have went that direction. I think A-Rob gives us a very stable and dependable floor, but starting 3 running backs here off the bat does kind of limit our ceiling and upside at other spots, so that's definitely something to address here throughout the rest of the video. It's been a while since we picked at this 2-2 overall spot. I suppose in hindsight, I would have liked this team a lot had I started out Swift. Instead of Swift, Mike Evans, but I am, again, very bullish on those 3 running backs, all 3 of them, actually. I love that group. I love that core. I just want to make sure that we do justice to that wide receiver position and are still able to address that quarterback and tight end spot sufficiently without really fading those 2 spots super far down the draft board today. So a little nerve-wracking here. I would love Rashad Bateman to fall into my lap. I don't know if that'll be the case here. We've got to make 2 picks down the board. one pick now. See if that ends up being the case. Otherwise, I might continue to fade this receiver position and get myself a bit of an edge. There goes Rashad Bateman. It might be opportune to address quarterback here and get myself a distinct advantage there. Otherwise, I could double dip. I will take Darnell Mooney here just to make sure I don't miss out on that opportunity. Jalen Hurts is someone I would love to have here. Mooney, despite the fact that we just knocked the Bears, he clearly showed that he was Fields' top option last year. They had the best chemistry. They had the best rapport. It was obvious that he was the guy that he wanted to go to with the football. I think they probably just clicked better. For a young rookie quarterback, I don't know if it was just the age gap between him and Allen Robinson. I really don't know what the case was. A-Rob did get a bit banged up last year, but Mooney was the guy he was clearly more comfortable throwing to in the passing game. I will note the two receivers I'm passing on here will be Amari Cooper and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I do think, actually, here's an interesting thought. If I draft Amari Cooper here, I don't necessarily know if he'll be the best player the first 6 weeks of the season. You know what? With all this Deshaun Watson stuff, I don't want to draft that right now. It's just too much uncertainty for me. Okay, so I can go Jalen Hurts here, or you know what? To heck with it. I'm going to draft an Elijah Moore share. This is someone that I haven't invested into nearly as much as I want to yet this season. A little bit of an impulsive pick right there, but I really wanted to, after seeing some training camp video, hearing some reports that he's clearly cinched in ahead of Garrett Wilson right now as the #1 option. Obviously, seeing last season how productive he was for that team. I know there's going to be guys here in the 7th, 8th, and 9th round that I feel comfortable with at the quarterback spot. So for me, I would rather just kind of fill out that wide receiver spot, get a little bit better there. Dalton Schultz was certainly an option at tight end, but I felt that Elijah Moore was worth the pick here. Again, so I was talking about Amari Cooper. I think that if you told me, all right, let's backtrack here to about May, having some in-depth information on exactly what was going to happen here with the Deshaun Watson situation, that suspension. I had Amari Cooper ranked as my wide receiver 12 for this season. Yeah, now it sounds crazy. But at that point in time, we had no official suspension. We had no reason to believe, because there's actually quite a few reports coming out that he may not get suspended at all due to a lack of evidence. However, I felt very comfortably about Deshaun's ability to produce for a very, very talented, phenomenal route runner, Amari Cooper, in that offensive situation. So essentially, as these news reports, obviously these factual findings here, the 6-game recommended suspension from the court judge, but now the fact that you've got a Roger Goodell investigation into the situation, he's appealing the ruling, he wants a heftier suspension slapped on Watson, that greatly affects Amari Cooper and exactly what he can be for this offense. So I don't love Amari with a guy like Jacoby Brissett. I just don't feel comfortable in his ability to consistently deliver fantasy production. We saw Cooper, while he is the clear #1 option for this team, even as kind of the 1A or 1B, whatever you consider him to be in that Dallas offense, he struggled to produce alongside CeeDee Lamb consistently with Dak Prescott throwing him the ball. So definitely things to consider there. Jalen Hurts falls all the way to the 6-12. That's very surprising to me. Joe Burrow goes before him. Very interesting. I'm very bullish on Jalen Hurts this season. But again, the start to this draft warranted going receiver a little bit more heavy. I may even go receiver again here as the pick comes back to me. Christian Kirk, is someone that I've got my eye on here. Brandon Ayuk, someone I would not mind drafting either. I've already made my play very aggressively on the running back spot. Again, hindsight 2020, I would have completely loved, I do love the start we had at the running back spot. I would have liked to have another big hitter at that wide receiver position. Again, I just didn't feel quite right taking, I'm a Jerry Jeudy over Cortland Sutton guy, so I didn't want to draft him there. Allen Robinson, someone I'm very bullish on, so I felt fine taking him a bit above ADP there. We see how the running back position was still favored here from the 4-3 to 4-5 position. Kind of that step before the dead zone running back period of J.K. Dobbins, David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon even, Antonio Gibson, someone that gets slapped in there quite a bit as well. So Anyways, back to Elijah Moore. Phenomenal route runner, complete player, a guy that I think can take a step forward this season. I think he is a complete package to be a number one on a lot of NFL teams. I think Garrett Wilson has the potential to be one of the best receivers in the entire league. But there goes Brandon Ayuk, baby. That hype is on a roll here. I will be taking Christian Kirk if he's the best available option. We will have a couple of options here at the quarterback spot to address. Man, that is a killer. Screw you, buddy. Okay, I should probably, since the team on the bench here already has a QB, that decreases the likelihood or chances that they go quarterback again here. I might just dabble into, I'm going to draft Treylon Burks here, get myself some nice upside at that wide receiver spot, adding into that group. I think Treylon Burks has his flaws. I don't think that he is a certified player that's going to just come out here and smash. I have my worries about guys like Kyle Phillips, who look damn good in camp, guys like Robert Woods, who are apparently and reportedly up to 100% here at the, in terms of just his overall health, a guy who can really work the middle of the field. I'm going to go Russell Wilson here. You've got two quarterbacks, him and Tom Brady, that I could draft. I feel very good about how I just addressed that position there. Again, like I said earlier on when I was thinking about Jalen Hurts at the 6-2, I'm kind of glad I waited because there was some significant quarterback value here today. I know that had I waited another round, it's unlikely that a guy like even Matt Stafford, whose ADP is all the way down at 98.7, I would be surprised if he even fell to me down here at the 9.11 draft pick. So wanted to make sure I addressed that position properly there. But again, now I'm feeling a little bit better. I'll pop up the screen so you guys can see the players I've drafted so far. Russell Wilson manning the quarterback spot. We've got 3 unique bye weeks with 3 really talented running backs. Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne. If they all stay healthy, they've all got top 12 upside. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Elijah Moore. Treylon Burks as well. Not necessarily guys that I view with real top 12 upside. But if we can get a bunch of players that have nice week-to-week ceilings, maybe it's A-Rob, that guy that kind of is that steady Eddie player and performer that delivers a consistent floor value, that type of thing would be really nice for this team. Again, Treylon Burks, that I was kind of talking about here. I do worry about the week-to-week volume he can receive. This is 100% a pass. Excuse me, it is not a pass-first offense. It is a run-first football team. They're not going to go out there and sling the rock. They're not a team that's going to, light it up and be this air raid offense. They are a smash-mouth power run football team with Derrick Henry, and that's fine. We've seen how A.J. Brown can produce for this team. He's done awesome things there, but asking rookie Treylon Burks to be insanely as good as what we saw rookie A.J. Brown be is a big ask. And I'm one of the biggest A.J. Brown fans out there. I really like Treylon Burks too. I just don't know if he can do it. I mean, it's a humongo ask. Unless they use him in some wide back form, which Treylon Burks did allude to at the NFL Combine, he would love to be used similarly to how Debo is used in San Francisco. But man, that is a big time question mark to be addressed for a rookie wide receiver in a low passing volume offense. So at the end of the day, I like him as my wide receiver 4 here. There's a lot of opportunity and fantasy points to be had with this situation, but it's also a player who has his risks attached to him and is probably going to have his fair share of bust games here in his rookie season. But at the draft position, let's pop that board back up for you guys. Let's see who else was going around him. Christian Kirk was already gone. Hunter Renfrow, I think, is definitely clearly the number 2 option behind Devontae Adams. Maybe even the number 3 if you consider Darren Waller into that competition phase there in Las Vegas. MVS, a guy who, we've seen 4 seasons of him playing with an elite NFL quarterback. What makes you think that year 5 with a different elite quarterback is going to be any different? I hate that draft pick. I have 0 shares of MVS. I will continue to stay away from him. Like, the dude's got the cheese touch. I won't be dabbling in the MVS market this offseason, and this draft season rather. As the board comes back to us, maybe a small draft error here. Matthew Stafford's still on the board. Let's see. Wow, holy running back run. Really the only player I may have taken would be a Chase Edmonds, possibly a Rashad Penny. Really not liking, and there goes Matt Stafford. So I stand corrected. No draft mistake made here. I would have been left in the Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers market had I faded that position a little bit heavier. So feeling a little bit better about myself, feeling pretty good about myself to be exact at this moment. I'm just teasing you guys. I'm not, don't take yourself seriously. I said that in a video a couple episodes back. One of the things I want to do is just kind of let loose a little bit more and just kind of, chillax in these videos and just have some fun, crack some jokes with you guys. Fantasy football is meant to be a fun time. It's not all business here. We don't have to be super formal in all these things. All right. We've got ourselves a really interesting opportunity. I want to draft Ken Walker here. I think that whoever this is on the bend is probably going to be pissed with me if I draft him. Don't know their draft strategy, don't know who they are. I'm going to draft Ken Walker here. Fingers crossed. He drafted TJ Hawkinson last time around here. I'm hoping for Zach Ertz. That is what I'm hoping for to kick off the 10th round. I think it would be the perfect tight end 1 option for this team. I think it would add a really nice balance here. Kind of an unexpected positive turn of events. And then we really just need to focus on the wide receiver position. That's exactly what happened. There goes Zach Ertz to us at the 10-2. I'm warming up to him. If you watched videos from me back in May, I was a hater. This is coming from a guy, me, who is, a huge Zach Ertz fan. Like, just outside of the fantasy football space, one of my favorite trades I pat myself on the back for was during the 2018 season. I traded for Ertz for a bag of chips from a guy. I don't know how it happened, but I acquired him on my team, and he was basically the championship cherry on top. It was a great year. I had Melvin Gordon as my hero running back that season. I had drafted DeAndre Hopkins in the first round of that league. I don't remember much other details aside from the fact that I had freaking CJ Anderson, the bowling ball, down the stretch of the year off the waivers, kind of carrying me home as well. But moral of the story is that Zach Ertz has been someone that throughout his career, and then that Super Bowl season for Philadelphia, was someone super, super fun to watch, and one of his biggest fans. And I just hated him in fantasy this year. They drafted Trey McBride after signing Ertz to a 3-year contract, and I think that maybe it was just me overlapping his dynasty value a little bit too much with redraft, having to remind myself that, Zach Ertz will be the guy this season. Yes, he's locked up for 3 more years. Yes, each year of that contract, Trey McBride will be used more and seen on the field more for this offense. But again, what I had to really remind myself of is that tight end is one of the toughest positions to develop. It takes one of the longest transition period. You talk about quarterbacks having to come from college to the pros and adjust. We should talk more about tight ends because it is a tough adjustment. Guys have to block. They have to know who to pick up in pass protection schemes. They've got to chip players. They've got to play physical. They've got to figure out how to, as less athletically inclined players, bigger bodies for sure, but a lot of them less athletic than their wide receiver counterparts, how to separate from NFL athletes, better players, better corners, better safeties, better linebackers, all the matchups that are thrown their direction. They have to know how to read zone coverage really well. There's a ton of stuff that factors into playing NFL at the next level. And it's going to take McBride a little bit longer than I think I initially anticipated, because even the best of the best don't necessarily come out here and hit year one. I mean, Kyle Pitts' 1,000-yard season as a rookie was unprecedented. We cannot expect Trey McBride, who comes from Colorado State, is far less athletic and just doesn't have the dominant factors of a Pitts. Ertz will be just fine this season. Hollywood Brown potentially could see some slap on the wrist action from the NFL after driving twice the speed limit. It was a criminal speeding issue. You've also got, DeAndre Hopkins. I've seen his his face in my head rather. Couldn't think of his name there though. Interesting pick, man. Ballsy to take Watson at the 11-5. But anyways, Ertz will be a safety blanket early in the season, especially the first 6 weeks. And I think that he's really someone that provides a unique role to this offense because there's no one else really that does that. I mean, D-Hop is such a skilled route runner. They're not going to just run him on short routes. They want him running some really savvy route combos downfield with guys. Hollywood Brown's obviously a vertically pressing player. Christian Kirk has gone, a guy who maybe could have worked the middle of the field a little better, even though that he was still very much in his own right someone who is 100% a vertical weapon. But I think Ertz has a very standalone, unique role in this offense, and that shouldn't be put very lightly. So here we go. Julio Jones coming up on the board. Not sure he'll be my pick here. Jalen Tolbert, someone I'm very interested in at this pick. There he goes. So that's not going to be on the table or in the cards. Christian Watson, still available. I have way too many shares of him this year. I've probably drafted him just as much as I've drafted Jerry Jeudy, and I like Jerry Jeudy a whole lot more. It could be time to get my first share of Julio. I don't love the dependability of that situation, though. I'd almost rather draft... Okay, there goes Julio, so not going to have to worry about that. I just plain and simple see Christian Watson as the best option on the table here. And I hate that that's the case, but for me, it truly is. No one else at this point on the board has the potential to be the number one option on their team. And I get it, you guys. Romeo Doubs is looking awesome in camp right now. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw a guy who wasn't highly athletically touted coming out of Nevada cook my boy Eric Stokes downfield. I couldn't believe it. His release was beautiful. He's got some shimmy to him. And Aaron Rodgers, psychedelics or not, is talking very highly of him. So, it's hard to look past that. But for me, Christian Watson's the better athlete, the bigger player. He brings a whole lot to the table here. Just kind of evaluating this position group again. Really trying to see what I want here. I need receiver depth, and I don't want to kind of push that stuff to the back burner because I think that could create a dangerous situation for this team. I did this in the last video. I didn't love it, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take my guy, Jakobi Meyers. He's not my guy. I don't know why I said that. That's a 12-2 here. It feels kind of icky. I was thinking going Kirk Cousins there, getting my second quarterback locked up for today. But the reason I went Meyers is if you pop down the screen here and look at the receiver depth, it's really not that flattering. I mean, we need some upside. We also need some guys that can be depended on for some floor value along the way here. We talked through how Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks, Darnell Mooney, and Allen Robinson all have that. Christian Watson has that as well. But outside of Allen Robinson, I don't love the floor. I don't love anyone's floor, and Jakobi Meyers gives us a little bit more of that. You're talking a guy who I would argue is probably going to lead the Pats in target share again this season. Now, 25% of the Pats' target share is not like this amazing mystical territory. We talked about this earlier, 25%, or I shouldn't say earlier, in our other video today. I'm assuming these videos will go out on the same day. I'm not entirely sure yet. I recorded Mike Williams versus Keenan Allen in ADP battle. Which player would I rather choose in my 2022 Fantasy Football League? If that interests you, go check it out. I won't spoil it. But basically, what I talked through in that video was kind of comparing how, despite the fact, you have to look at the numbers, and then you have to dive beneath the numbers. And what I mean by that is that, people will be like, hey, Michael Pittman, 25% target share of the Colts offense, yada, 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 clear number one option. Yet he had 129 targets. Mike Williams had just a 20.8% target share of the Chargers offense. Doesn't seem as flattering. Yet he had 129 targets. The same number in a different offense, but an offense better because they were number two in terms of their quarterback. Their quarterback, Justin Herbert, was number two in total passing attempts last year. The Chargers ranked 6th in team passing plays per game. So basically putting context behind those numbers, telling you that despite the fact that he's seeing a smaller piece of the pie in his offense's pie is bigger. God, sounds so dumb. It's an analogy, though. Sounds a little sus. But basically, the Chargers' passing pie is bigger than the Colts' passing pie. Therefore, a smaller piece of the bigger pie is the same total size of a slice as what Michael Pittman really was eating in Indianapolis. That was quite the analogy there. I should clip that and put that on YouTube Shorts. I loved that. Hopefully you guys get as much of a kick out of that as I did. His pie is bigger than his pie. I love it. So we are coming up here in 7 picks. Anyways, so relating this pie theory to Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi doesn't get to eat from a very big pie, but his piece of that smaller pie is going to be the biggest piece that anyone gets in that pie is basically what we're thinking here. So feeling pretty good about this team so far. Oh boy. Our man Jameis Winston coming off the table here soon, it looks like. Never know when you could need a second quarterback. They have a week 14 bye. We drafted Russ. He's in week 9, correct? Yep. Just want to make sure. Still not really sure who I'm going to take with this draft selection. We've got Jarvis, KJ Osborne. Not loving the receivers. I'll be upfront about that. Okay. Actually, I might reach down the table here and grab Jamison Crowder. I think he's a really good fit for this lineup. I've been drafting a lot of shares of him recently. I think his slot role, Isaiah McKenzie will probably go shortly after here. Isaiah McKenzie could also be a factor for this team. He's actually pretty explosive, pretty talented, pretty similar build actually to Crowder. But if Crowder legitimately absorbs the Cole Beasley role, that is such a valuable role to have. A 13th round pick for that level of player, a consistent flex option, is a lot better than what we give it credit for, I think. So at the end of the day, I'm very, very comfortable going there. And then the second pick, I think I'm going to go David Njoku, get my second tight end for this team. So I wanted to stay away from Amari Cooper because that draft price, what does he go in the 5th round right now, 6th round? His ADP might have slipped to the 6th. I forgot when we were talking about him. Amari was the 6'10". So, when I started drafting Amari Cooper, man, his ADP must have been, 4th or 5th round territory. Kind of, you got your 6-game suspension, slipped into the fifth round here. And now that we've got the appeal, he's looking like he's slipping farther and farther back to 7th round draft territory. So, there's so many moving pieces every year with fantasy, especially when you've got these quarterback suspensions, especially with teams that have legit number one receivers. Like Tom Brady got his 4 games for Deflategate in, man, what was that, 2017, 16, something like that. And, you're talking about Edelman and Amendola and guys that aren't really top flight fantasy receivers. So, it might have been the difference from being, Edelman's a little different, but still a middle round pick. Edelman wasn't a highly touted guy, despite the fact that his target volume was very, very good. But you get the point here is that Amari Cooper is a much more upper echelon receiver than those players were considered to be. Another one of my favorite all-time guys is Julian Edelman. And he as a flex or wide receiver 2 option, I had a ball with in fantasy back in his day. Even in the season, his final year with Tom Brady was just awesome. I had Jules. I think I traded for him that season as well. I feel like the trade, I love to reminisce and just talk to you guys about trades I've made in previous fantasy seasons. I guess that is, I'm kind of a trade magician, if you will. Some of my most popular videos during the season will 1000% be some trade advice episodes for this year. So stay tuned for all that stuff, you guys. But I love to craft trades. I love to swindle players. I love to be kind of a fantasy heist puller, if you will. I traded Emmanuel Sanders that season, who must have been a 49er at that point. I'm trying to match years with teams for Sanders here, but whatever it was worked out great for me. I want to say I traded him as a Bronco, and after the trade, he became a 49er. And Edelman was phenomenal, one of the highest floor players down the stretch of that season, pulled me to a championship in that league as well. Some of these trades just really stick out in my mind if they were kind of the keystone cappers for my leagues, just like that Zach Ertz trade was earlier. On the other hand, I also remember some other trades that kind of came up just short. I refused to buy into the Todd Gurley knee arthritis stuff, and despite the fact that I was playing my final standard league I'll probably ever play that year, it came up just short with him. Made a move for him. I forgot who I traded. I want to say it was like Lev Bell in 2019 or something when he was with the Jets. Maybe that was 2018 as well. Different league. So hard to keep track of. I'm probably confusing the absolute bejesus out of you guys, so I'll just stop talking about that stuff. That's probably the best way to go with this. 15-11 pick here. Would love me some Van Jefferson. His ADP's fallen off a little bit. Since he's had that knee issue, I'm not going to draft him for that reason. Marlon Mack is on the table here. Romeo Doubs is on the table as well. Maybe I dabble in 2 Packers receivers. Unheard of. Don't do it. I'm going to do it. Why not? Why not take 2 throws at the dartboard to potentially get Aaron Rodgers as number 1 pass catcher? Why wouldn't we be trying to do that? Because that just sounds insane to not try and accomplish. I don't know why wouldn't we attempt to do that? one of the most accurate throwers of the football. Even if your separation is not the same as Devontae Adams, he will put that sucker. You know, if you've ever played football before, played wide receiver especially, they teach you the triangle. Put your hands up, quarterbacks, hit him in the triangle. You've got, you know, your head to shoulders. That's their triangle. Here's your triangle right here. We're on the clock. Coaching you guys. Behind the scenes, you guys probably don't know this, I coach football outside of YouTube here and actually work with a football coaching business as well on the side of SFS, in addition to obviously coaching in my free time as well. So quarterbacks, you got your triangle right here. Receivers got their triangle. Aaron Rodgers putting that sucker right here. Oh, going towards the end zone, little back shoulder fade. Oh, in your triangle every time. Absolute beast ripping that football out in space. So football IQ, baby. We love it. We love to see it. Van Jefferson goes there at the 16-4. Jerick McKinnon, the vulture of receiving opportunities for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, ends up going at the 16-3 overall pick. I was a fan of CEH this season when his ADP was in like the 8th round. Where is it now? In the 8th round without, let's put an asterisk here. When CEH was an 8th round pick and Jerick McKinnon was a free agent and Darrell Williams was on the Arizona Cardinals, I loved that team. Now, where's my boy Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Am I blind? 7. His ADP is going up and his situation got worse. Guys, come on. Stop drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire at his ADP. It's a no-no. It's only going to disappoint you. I'm sorry to say it. I would stay away at all costs. So we're here. This draft flew by, I must say. Either I'm just having a splendid time here, having a great time drafting some leagues with you guys, or this draft absolutely cruised because we are 2 picks from being done today, and I'm feeling pretty good about this. So shout out to everyone in the draft today. Absolutely no idea who any of you guys are, although this does look like one of my buddy's usernames slightly from the community Discord server, and I'm in a couple Dynasty leagues with him. Maybe just one Dynasty league. I think just one. Anyways, a member of the SFS community. Maybe, maybe not. Absolutely no clue. So I wouldn't mind drafting one more quarterback here. Excuse me as I pop up the top of your screen because I just went outside of my camera box. I'm in a new temporary recording studio for the week, so the studio setup's a bit different. The camera is much closer to my face. The microphone also much closer to my face. I'm working on putting together a really nice acoustic soundboard for you guys to try and optimize the audio quality a bit better. I have done some things tweaking the audio. Ooh, I knew that was going to happen. Drop my pen. I have done some things behind the scenes in my video editing software to try and make the audio a bit crisper, but without that acoustic sound foam, there's still an echo, and it kind of defeats the purpose of me tweaking the audio to make it sound better to begin with, because you hear the crispness twice, and hopefully you're not hearing that right now. I try to talk softly, but still, it's kind of an empty room that I'm in right now, so I'll be back in the normal studio next week, hopefully with that acoustic sound foam put together. You will definitely hear a difference in audio quality once that's prepared. And don't worry, once I move in the end of the summer here, we will make sure that that sound quality stays constant here. So back to fantasy football talk. Lots of behind the scenes stuff. If you guys are enjoying today's video, it would mean a lot to me if you drop down and click that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your questions in the comment section below. I am a resource for you guys. That is why I'm here. I love fantasy football. I love NFL football. I love everything football, coaching football, all that great stuff. I love talking about it. So if you got something for me, put it down there. I'm happy to get back to you. Yeah, stick around with me this season. I'll help you win your guys' leagues, or at least get your best crack at it. I'm on the clock here, yapping. Actually, no, I'm not on the clock, but I'm about to be. Should probably figure out who I'm going to draft. It would probably be a smart idea. Man, okay. I might take Zach Wilson here. Draft someone. We need a player who's got some dog in him. We need the dog. Baker Mayfield's not a dog. I drafted a share Carson Wentz the other day. Long neck Davis Mills, not looking to draft him. Let's go. Let's do it. Zach Wilson, baby. Got ourselves a little mini quarterback receiver stack there. I see it. We've got Elijah Moore here, our second receiver, right? Third receiver taken off the board. Stacking him up with Zach Wilson just to make sure, yep, we've addressed every position. I maybe could address running back one more time. Does there happen to be Sony Michel on the table here? Uh-oh, we're tick-tock. I wasn't paying close enough attention to see if he's gone. Yes, he's long gone. Holy cow. All right. Man. Missed opportunity. Swipe. I didn't swipe. I got auto-drafted Taysom Hill. We were yapping for too long. We missed the ball there. Very light running back roster here. We do go 5 deep, actually. Okay. I'm not so butthurt about that. Don't love having Taysom Hill, but maybe if he gets a starting spot at QB for a week and Underdog lets it slide and they let me put him in my tight end spot, maybe it does great. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Man, we've got ourselves 3 running backs I would die for in any league this season. A 4th that has league-winning potential if he takes over down the stretch. A 5th that can help us early in the season. I doubt he'll be the starter throughout the year. But man, if injuries stay clear of this team, look out. Got Mr. Unlimited in the house. Got some dogs on our team. Zach Wilson, who actually was our second QB. I thought I had a third QB. That's awkward. When did I think I drafted my second quarterback? That's interesting. Well, I've got a tight end quarterback hybrid here. So I guess thank you, Underdog, for saving my cheeks there. Could have gotten ugly. I like some of these late receivers, man. If Underdog went to 20 rounds on best ball, I would be here for it. I would love drafting guys like Laviska Shenault, Bryan Edwards. We literally don't talk at all. Aaron Rodgers doesn't even really talk about Randall Cobb, but that's interesting. Amari Rodgers has quickly been buried in the mud for fantasy purposes. Khalil Shakir, interesting guy. I would like to draft some shares of, not in best ball in 18 rounds, but if it was best ball 20 plus rounds. Interestingly enough, despite the rumors of positivity, Zach Moss still doesn't have an ADP high enough to be drafted. I saw a report today from Sleeper that James Cook is turning some heads at camp. Love to hear that. Love to see that. I'm a big fan of his, and hopefully that can be some awesome stuff. We'll be wrapping up today's draft here in about 15, 20 seconds. The last 2 rounds, holy cow, have been definitely the longest of this whole thing. Doing a quick recap, of course. If you guys are new around here, again, drop down, click that subscribe button. If you want some more help, if you're watching today's video still, you are definitely a serious player. And if you have not checked out sizzlefantasy.com yet, I highly recommend that you do so. That's where my draft guides are hosted for this fantasy season. We've got 3 different ways you can access those and take advantage of those services. The first being with Underdog Fantasy here today, the host of today's draft, our half PPR 12-team mock. When you sign up and use code SFS, you're going to be eligible to not only you're going to get a 100% deposit match bonus. So you put $10 in. That's all it's going to cost you to get access to those draft guides. You put $10 in, they'll give you another 10 for $20 total to play with on their sites and join drafts just like you've seen me do here today. And again, that's Underdog Fantasy code SFS. It's the first option. You've also got 2 other pricing formats, a monthly subscription or a one-time purchase season-long all-access pass, which is on sizzlefantasy.com. Again, links in the description of today's video. But all 3 of those things give you site-wide access for as long as your membership is extended through. It's really exciting stuff, guys. We've got rankings for redraft and dynasty, sleepers, busts, must-own players, a player profile database, which is my favorite part of the site. I've done player profiles, in-depth, pros and cons, all the pertinent information you need to know, from injuries to situations to strengths, weaknesses, reasons they can succeed, reasons they might fail, all kinds of stuff baked into one pass for sizzlefantasy.com and the draft guides this year. Again, my top 300 plus players. So we've got 300 plus redraft rankings, the 250 redraft rankings, but my top 300 players all have profiles Plus, I did rankings and profiles for my top 60 rookies this year, and some of those rookies did not make the cut for the top 300. Those guys are on the site as well. So there's a heinous amount of content, over 500 total pages of stuff for you guys to access. Again, rankings, all kinds of stuff, redraft and dynasty, and it's you know, one getting access to any of the passes gets you access to everything. So it's not something where you have to buy multiple things. It's a one-stop shop. Got everything you need, everything fantasy football in one place. That's what we say there on sizzlefantasy.com. So go check that stuff out, you guys. Time for a quick, very quick team recap here, and then we'll be heading out and getting out of here for today's video. Our QBs, I meant to draft 3. Apparently I have 2.5 because we got Taysom Hill down here. We got Russell Wilson and Zach Wilson at our quarterback positions. Wilson squared. Can I name this team Wilson squared? I don't know. So we've got, good thing I didn't stack up those buys poorly either. Russ should start almost every week for this team. Zach might have a couple big games in there, especially if he breaks out this season. Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, 3 bangers at the running back position. Love starting off today's video with that. I think they all have elite upside, to be honest. I think their skill sets are fantasy dreams, and Mixon's situation is phenomenal. Ken Walker, someone who could break out. I think that Rashad Penny is unreliable in terms of his health, so that could play out very favorably for us there. Marlon Mack, 6th. I thought that was 3 week 11 buys. Only 2. We're fine. Marlon Mack, week 6 buy. So we've got ourselves a good group there. I think early in the season, he's just a dependable player that puts up some nice numbers for us. A-Rob, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, Jacoby Myers, Jamison Crowder, and Romeo Doubs, trying to mesh some level of floor value, whether that's just A-Rob, Myers, and Crowder. It's a pretty bad floor value group, but the upside is there. Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, just, you know, Darnell Mooney even's got a lot of upside this year. Just hoping some of those guys break out and become dependable lineup pieces for us, to help us kind of compensate for some of the flaws in this team. And then Zach Ertz and David Njoku, I really like that top 2 tight end group. And then Taysom Hill, just some versatility down here. It was an auto draft pick, so if you missed that part, don't bash me for that. It kind of works out. I don't know how Underdog works with the potential for Taysom Hill to switch positions mid-season, but if he happens to slide over the quarterback spot, that could help us out a lot here. So thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. I appreciate the heck out of all of you guys. If you enjoyed today's video, if you gained something from it, if you learned something, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to click that subscribe button. Make sure to leave me a comment or your questions, anything you've got for me in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.